What's up everyone? This is my closing trade alert for RCL, which was about 9 or 10 days ago. In between that time, I actually opened and then closed a different position, but the ones we're looking at here is this bottom line here, the 180 credit, and then the top line here, the 70-cent debit. So about 10 days ago, I sold the 60 put here in the March 19th expiration. I collected $1.80. I think that was around the 19 or 20 delta, if I remember correctly. I collected almost $2 here to $1.80, so that basically hits my entry guidelines almost perfectly. This was a relatively conservative trade in my opinion, and sure enough, 9 or 10 days later, I get paid. So I got a 180 credit to open, and then I bought it back for a 70-cent debit to close. Let's head on over to the chart to see how the trade played out. Alright, the quick rundown here, the duration of the trade was 9 days, almost exactly. My percent of max profit was 61.1%. My return on capital was 18.3%, which is great. Anything above 10 or 12 is doing pretty well. And then my profit per contract was $110. This trade's pretty straightforward. It's kind of my bread and butter to sell these puts at around the 15 delta and collecting around $2 in credit to open. And specifically here on RCL, after the COVID crash, it's been channeling up in this larger channel here for the last almost year now. This is a ticker that I follow on the regular basis, and I noticed it had sold off here and it was also approaching the bottom edge of this channel. I also saw earnings was coming up, and I figured what the heck, this time it kind of lines up and I'm just going to roll the dice and play the earnings. And it worked out pretty great this time. So this orange vertical line here, I opened the trade on the 10th of February, sold the 60 put at 180, and I just needed that to stay above the 60 put, and eventually time decay will get me paid. And that's what happened. These other lines here, this is an Elliott wave, and it looks like so far my Elliott wave prediction is shaping up nicely. If I get a down day here, I'll probably get back in. If we zoom in here real quick, get a closer look at this. When I opened the trade, it was right around here, about 70 bucks, 69 bucks. The next day it went against me, technically fell all the way down here to about $66 or $67, but then from there it was all uphill, which was great. This next day was a huge day up, went up almost 10% in my favor, and then again it went up here, stayed about the same here, and then today it gapped up again, and now it's up about 5.25%, and by the time that all played out, that gave me over 60% of my max profit. I'm more than happy to take the money and get out of town. Also, when I entered the trade, the MACD had recently crossed into positive green momentum when it was below the zero line here. And sure enough, that continued on higher. And then also the RSI was just kind of in a middle neutral kind of zone area. It had come from this lower level here and then moved slightly higher to the middle. But the RSI is kind of the last point of entry for me. That means the least amount in my opinion. I'm looking more at the MACD and then the Elliott wave and then this channel, kind of in the reverse order there almost. I just kind of look at the bigger trends, and that's mostly what I follow. I do throw in this technical analysis, and a lot of it does seem to play out. However, you always got to take that with a huge grain of salt because nothing is for sure. Just because a chart looks like an Elliott wave, or it looks like head and shoulders, or it looks like a cup and a handle, or whatever, it can all be wrong, it can all go against you, and it doesn't matter. So technical analysis is kind of the last thing in some ways. I'm just looking at the overall trend when I get into most of these trades, and I guess you could argue that in itself is technical analysis. But I mean, when you're selling farther out of the money puts, that's kind of all you need to figure out is what is the overall trend. And if that trend is going up or neutral, then selling a farther out of the money put is a great way to generate some income. All right, I think that covers everything. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video.